Hey, welcome to the Adventures of a CB Camper channel as we continue our Grand Tour 2026. This week, coming to you from Charleston, South Carolina. Got some really great visits from Magnolia plantations to the USS Yorktown to Fort Sumter and so much more coming. So have a look, enjoy this week's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Well, here we are, day 2. And where are we? Charleston, South Carolina, and we're at Magnolia Plantation and Gardens. And we're going to be spending the day here. There's a boat ride, there's a train ride, there's a plantation we can tour, and there are the gardens. Let me just give you a little peek at some of that. So more as we make our way around, but we're here, and let's go see what we can find. So just to give you an idea how big these trees are, here's my beautiful model standing. Just watch what happens. What's up there?
Great egret busting out of the grass ahead of us. Now, as we slide through here, you might notice we're staying in between all of these bamboo poles. About that pretty white bird, or the pretty pink bird, the more shellfish that bird eats, the pinker it will be. Now, the same chemical in the crustacean that bird eats, the same chemical that turns that bird orange, the same chemical in a carrot that turns the carrot orange. And you might notice that bird's got a beautiful white head of feathers on top. With age, that bird does go bald. As that bird decides to go bald, a little bit of green skin starts to appear under that pretty white head. We got a great egret, bright orange beak. And is that a stork out there? Now, if you ever wondered how babies get delivered to the moms out there to the right up in the air, that big white bird is the bird that does it. That's the wood stork. Inside the boat.
If you need to stand up this to you, I'm going slow enough that it might not be in it right now, but it is just kind of in this corner. Strip. It's going to be looking kind of at us, and you won't see much of it, but its back is very visible. And then there are also the ducklings. If you can't see the alligators, there are ducklings there, and that feels like an ominous thing to say, and it kind of is. But the mother is sitting out on a branch there. You can see another duckling just behind him, but the mother is watching very carefully there too, and they're kind of moving away. The alligators aren't hunting actively as much during the day, and they are opportunistic eaters, so if they see a chance for them, they'll take them. But
On another day in Charleston, we did a twofer. We went to the South Carolina Aquarium, and then after that went out to see Fort Sumter, which was where the first shots were fired during the Civil War. We did them in the same day because the aquarium was next to Liberty Square, and Liberty Square is where the ferry leaves to take you out to Fort Sumter, which is actually an island out in the Charleston harbor. So we did both of them. Let's go check out the aquarium first, and then we'll head to Fort Sumter. One of the things they focus on here at the aquarium is turtles and rescuing and rehabilitating turtles. The area behind me is the turtle rehab center. Right now they have 10 patients here, and they've rescued and rehabilitated and returned to the wild over 480 turtles, which is pretty cool. And they've got everything they need to do that here. Behind me over here is the turtle operating room. And then back here are tanks that the turtles that are in rehab are in, and they go all the way across that wall. It's one-way glass, so we can see it, but they can't see us. They try to limit human interaction so that they release without any bringing people, which is really important. Really cool.
Like, usually have to go to 43, so yeah.
Outdoor area that talks about what can live in the salt marshes, and in addition to fish and turtles is also spoonbill and an ibis. Here's the Port of Charleston. You see the bridge that we went under on our Blues and Barbecue cruise the other night. And here's our ride out to Fort Sumter. Across the bay is the Yorktown. We're going to go see that sometime in the next couple, 3 days. And then Fort Sumter's out there a ways. We'll show you more on the way when we get there. This black area in the middle was added well after the Civil War, and this continues to be a useful fort for the U.S. all the way up until the end of World War II. The red band on the flagpole is the height of the original brick fort before the 30-month bombardment by Union forces in the Civil War reduced it to the size it is now, which is just barely 1 floor high.
Alright, one other thing before we get started. Look at the large black structure here. Do you guys think this was here or during the Civil War? Correct. You know, for those of you that know, this is a post-Civil War position called battery position. This was built in the 1890s, about 35 years after the war. By the end of the war, Fort Sumter had been almost completely destroyed. Excuse me, by incoming cannon fire from the U.S. soldiers on Morris Island. So that was more new. That was what tore down the walls. The Army is going to want to build this back up after the war. They're going to make this new and improved cannon that is going to defend the harbor from 1998 during World War II. They took those old guns, they took the massive guns they had off during World War II.
Here at the Charleston Tea Company, the only place in the United States where tea is grown and harvested and processed into tea. You get like a special machine here that goes down the rows of tea plants, and what it does is that in the spring when they start to bloom out, they grow about 6 inches in height, and this machine runs down between the rows and just clips the top 6 inches off the bushes, the new growth, and then brings it inside to the factory here where they process it. And we took a little tour in there, but it's really hard to get any good pictures or video of it, so I didn't get it. But they grow it here, they harvest it here, they process the tea here, and they package it loose. And then they're in a subdivision of Bigelow now. In Bigelow, they ship their loose tea up to Bigelow, who packages it for them and puts it in tea bags and boxes and sends it back down. But there's no cross-pollination between here and Bigelow. Bigelow still buys all its tea from overseas, and the tea that gets harvested here all goes out under the Charleston brand name. I'll show you the 6 different kinds of tea they make in a little bit, but here's a quick view down the rows of the tea plants. They're just sort of waking up now from their winter slumber and just starting to grow. And that's what the plants look like. And they said inside that the plants can live for 100 years, and you can harvest the top 6 inches off of new growth as many as 8 or 9 times per summer. So that's a lot of tea. And that's the magic machine that goes and clips. It's got, you can't see it, but above the front wheels, there's what looks like an old sickle bar mower that clips the top off, then it gets blown into up a chute into that container in the back, and then they dump it in the trucks and carry it back up to the factory. Then they try not to make it dizzy, which is back there. It's pretty cool. Charleston Tea Company, and the only place that tea is grown in North America. And there you go. We're going on that trolley tour that you can see in the behind the bushes there in a little bit. Now hopefully I'll get some more shots out as they take us on the tour. I have no idea what we're going to look at. I can already see bushes, so off we go.
Of our working walk. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy your journey as we travel through the tea fields of the Charleston Tea Farm.
Not want to use herbicides on our fields, but we also need to keep the weeds out of your tea. So we've hired some field hands. They go up and down each and every one of these rows, and they weed them all by hand, which, as you can imagine, is a lot of work. How many of y'all drink coffee? Who are coffee drinkers? Oh, fabulous. Thank you guys so much for volunteering to help us weed the fields today. That's what we
All right, Yorktown Day. Gonna go check her out. We're on the other side of the bay where we've been the last few days. And so we're looking at this bridge which comes over here to Patriot Point from the other side, from this side now. Ready to go explore the Yorktown? All right, here we go. There are 4 distinct different self-guided tours you can take here on the Yorktown. This is tour number 1 that goes through chapel, workshops, berthing, mess areas, galleys, etc. Let's go check it out. I mean, who needs so much to read? So, I had to work on a ship. This is the place I want to work. This is the machine shop. They basically could make anything. Get a piece of equipment, broke a gear, need a new one made from scratch. These are the guys you came inside. There's lathes and milling machines and all kinds of cool stuff in here. Alright, sorry I'm geeking out a little. We're down in the engine room and this is 2 of the generators, steam-driven generators that are powered by the main boilers that also drive turbines that drive the propellers. But looking, I would guess, probably 1,500 kilowatts each. But there you get all. You see generator number 1, 3, and 4. There's number 2. And there also got bus ties. Convention generator. Yep, the main control board in the engine room. We can monitor all the different boilers, all the different screws, how fast the Propellers are turning. Pressure in the boilers. Water level in the boiler is very important so you don't get a dry one. Communications. Alright, let's make some cookies. Let's see, what do we need? This.
In addition to cooking, bread and
This is just to make some cookies. Yeah, this is the bridge. Yeah, we have a picture of Liz sitting in the captain's chair. Yeah. Yeah, try the chair out. The spot where you can observe flight observation, you know, carrier landings and takeoffs. Marvin Shields, the only Seabee ever awarded the Medal of Honor. And as if the Lexington wasn't enough, Lynn and I just disembarked after being on board for almost 6 hours. And out here at the entrance is a small Vietnam memorial area, and run across this guy. And I have a few miles driving and working on these things back in the day. And then next to it is one of these. And this is the actual helicopter that the last air crew that died in Vietnam was on. So much sobering stuff we've seen today. I mean, I served, but being reminded of what others have done and what they did to serve their country in their time, just, it's humbling. This is a UH-1C, referred to as the Huey. Uncle Bruce was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He flew these mostly doing battlefield evacuations to bring wounded folks back to a hospital, a camp, or a medevac center. 1 in 3 crew members on Hueys doing those extractions did not complete a full deployment in Vietnam. Uncle Bruce did, and then volunteered to go back and did a whole second tour. And after that, volunteered and went back again and did a third tour as a Huey pilot, doing the most dangerous job, flying an unarmed helicopter in to hostile fire to bring back wounded. It's amazing what people can do for their country. Well, today we had a very full day. In Charleston, we went over to Pioneer Point, no.
Patriot
Patriot Point, and toured the USS Yorktown, World War II era aircraft carrier. And they also had an interesting Vietnam War display outside, which I'll talk about more in a second. And once again, there was plenty of stuff to do. We got there just after they opened, and we were just starting to walk out the gate as they were closing at 5 o'clock. We spent a full day there. The Yorktown is actually the second aircraft carrier named Yorktown. An older ship was lost in the early stages of World War II, and this ship was in the shipyard being built, and so they decided to name it the Yorktown as well. And it got into some pretty significant battles in the second half of World War II. Was decommissioned after World War II when it was just a handful of years old, and then pulled back out in 1950 or 51, got retrofitted, and then went back on active duty for the Korean War, and then stayed an active ship in the Navy fleet until 1969. The exhibits on the ship are very well done. There's 4 different self-guided walking tours that you could take. We did all 4 of them. Saw all sorts of interesting parts of the ship. You can see some video of different places that we looked. There was also inside the ship a Medal of Honor museum that is dedicated to all the folks in the history of the United States who have won the Medal of Honor, and lots of individual stories about what they did in order to earn that medal, which is, the highest award you can receive as a military member. Humbling to see that. And then on the way out, we stopped and we saw like a couple of trucks and a helicopter at this Vietnam veterans, Vietnam War display area. So, well, let's walk through it, and it turned out to be gut-wrenching. There were some planes and some helicopters and some military equipment, tanks and decent hats and stuff from the Vietnam era, but it was the stories that really were compelling. And I think when I both left there with a little bit of a knot in my stomachs, and so it was a sobering end to a really fun day, but I'm glad that we did it. And it's the sort of thing that we need to be reminded of occasionally. The sacrifices that folks make. Certainly I served in the military for 20 years, but what I did does not seem to compare to what so many others did so much more significantly, it feels like to me. Lynn, what did you think? How was your day?
I thought it was good. All the exhibits on the ship were like in reference to other ships a lot of them to other ships in that same class, but a lot of them also to other ships during the World War II time frame. And so it was nice to see representation of a lot of different ships there, as well as they made good use of the space, because obviously they took a lot of stuff out of the ship. It's not like it's ever going to be used again. And the aircraft, weren't the aircraft from Yorktown, of course, because they lost everything in the fire. So the fact that the ship is still there, that the credit is still there, is pretty amazing. And the reason it's in Charleston is because one of the Medal of Honor winners was on the Yorktown, was from Charleston. So that made it even more like touching that it was there. And they did a really good job. The place is really nice. It's clean. It's well manicured. They've done a good job with the restoration of the ship and keeping it up. And just, it's a really, really nice. If you like history,
Cool. So that wraps up today, and just about wraps up our time in Charleston. And so then we're off to the next place, and we'll tell you more about that when we get there. And here's a few video highlights and a couple of snapshots from our time in Yorktown and at the Vietnam War area. And then, so that's next. Here we go. One last thing to share from our week in Charleston is Lynn and I did a barbecue and blues dinner boat cruise. We had a ton of fun. I shot a little video, but the noise from the wind buffeting was so loud that it really is hard to understand. I do have some still shots of that to share with you, which I'll show you in just a second. Listen, if you've hung in there this long, thanks so much. We really appreciate you. Glad that you watch our videos. Don't forget to hit the like button, share them with others who you think might be interested, and go watch some of our other videos. It really helps the channel. Anyway, enjoy your week. Look forward to another video from us next week and our adventures in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. We'll be back to you soon. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Have a good week.
Cloaked in folds of midnight waters, side by side, we sons and daughters, we set forth for no king's orders, but we'll sail